Hello, Percy.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy R.A.S, and today I'm going to be going over what I think is the most underrated fight in all of JJK. With the anime now and the Gojo Pass arc, I feel like this is a fight that is highly underrated and very important because it does serve a lot of plot points in the story, but let's just get straight into it. At the time of this recording, this video will contain JJK manga spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, then please do not watch the video. Thank you. So in chapter 33, during the Kyoto Goodwill event arc, we see Gojo having a conversation with Utahime as he tells her he believes that there is a traitor that is feeding information to a curse user. He also believes that it's someone from the Kyoto school, and we see later in chapter 62, after the Death Wound painting art, that Geto gets a text message with the information that Yuji and Nobara were the ones that defeated Izo and Kechizu, which proves that Gojo was right to suspect that there is a traitor that is working with Geto and secretly giving him information. In chapter 79, after the Gojo Past arc, we see Utahime having a conversation about the traitor with Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara, basically clarifying that Gojo has told them about this mole before. After they agree, Nobara assumes that it's someone that has to be from the Kyoto school since everyone there to investigate this traitor is from the Tokyo branch. As Utahime is about to reveal who the traitor identity is, we cut to a conversation with Mechamaru and Miwa. Miwa tells him that, notebooks are due today, like where have you been? After Mechamaru doesn't respond, Miwa calls his name again in curiosity. Mechamaru responds apologizing, telling her that he's just going to go to sleep and that his notebooks are on the desk. Miwa asks Mechamaru why sleep so early. As she goes up to poke him, realizing that he actually went to sleep, she wonders where the real Mechamaru is, as we cut back to Utahime revealing that the traitor, as she says, the real Mechamaru, Kogichi Muta, currently lives in an underground unknown area. Utahime goes on to say that it was a process of elimination because of his puppet manipulation curse technique. It's wide range to reach across the entire nation, and using unregistered puppets to act as moles and steal information would be easy for him. As Yuji knocks down the door, they quickly realize Muta already changed locations before they could confront him, which they confirm that he is the mole, as the panel cuts to Muta meeting up with Geto and Mahito. We learn that they are made a binding vow with each other that if Muta exchanged information about Jujutsu High and not to hurt anybody from the Kyoto school, they would heal his body with ideal transfiguration. As Muta is healed and he checks his new body, both him and Mahito get ready to fight as Muta unleashes a bunch of Mechamaru puppets around him to attack Mahito, but Mahito just makes his arm big and crushes all the puppets in one attack. Mahito looks up and realizes that Muta has disappeared, and Mahito thinks to himself that he ran away because he has no reason to kill them in the first place. Just as Mahito lets his guard down, the floor beneath him collapses as we see a big explosion. Mahito avoids the explosion by jumping onto a nearby bridge as he gets excited about Muta staying in the fight. Then we see this giant Mechamaru puppet as the narrator gives us the information that this is Muta's ultimate armored puppet. Mahito thinks to himself that Muta has to be inside the puppet because he wants to avoid ideal transfiguration, as he comes to the conclusion that his real body is in the head of the puppet. The panel cuts to Muta inside of the head of the puppet. He thinks to himself, realizing that there is a curtain that has been put up by Geto to trap him and stop all communication from outside. Muta says that if Gojo was there, the fight wouldn't be as difficult and that his victory depends on Gojo. He also thinks that no matter what, he has to get in contact with Gojo and warn him about Geto and the Disaster Curse's plans for Shibuya and to get rescued. But he soon realizes that even if he focuses on Geto and the current, Mahito still poses a huge threat, and he's going to have to exercise him first before he does anything else. He realizes that he has an advantage because of the information he was able to gather, as the panel shows past events like when he fought Yuji and Nanami. So he already has a general idea of how Mahito fights and how he attacks his soul. And it also shows us Miwa's new shadow style, which will come into play later on. For the past 17 years, he has been storing up cursed energy inside this puppet, so he has no reason to hold back. Muta takes a 1-year charge and launches an ultra cannon which completely destroys the bridge Mahito was on, but Mahito escapes the blast by changing the shape of his legs to jump far distances. The narrator tells us that Mahito knows that Mechamaru's attacks won't be enough to damage him. Mechamaru punches the bridge as Mahito flees into the water while changing his soul into a fish. Mechamaru uses the 2-year charged miracle cannon, which he uses both of his hands to blast into the water, but Mahito avoids this explosion and grabs the Mechamaru puppet and makes his arm big as they both prepare for the next attack. Mahito punches the Mechamaru puppet as Mahito thinks to himself if he takes another attack like that, his armor would break. He plugs in one of his charges as Mahito changes his arms to wings. Mechamaru locks onto Mahito and fires a charge at Mahito. The charge hits Mahito. The scene becomes anticlimactic as Mahito thinks the charge didn't work, but then soon explodes, and Mechamaru slaps Mahito as he skyrockets into the forest. Mahito wonders how Mechamaru was able to destroy a part of his soul because we know only attacks that hurt Mahito's soul can only damage him. Leaving no time for Mahito to react, Mechamaru presses on with a barrage of punches, but Mahito quickly escapes by turning into a bird. Mahito thinks to himself that he manipulated the shape of his soul to make it look like he regenerated when he actually is trying to conceal his wounds, which he comments is a good sign. It cuts to Geto as he comments on how Muta has skills and it can only be temporary, but his release of cursed energy is on par with a special grade, and his strategies against Mahito are decent. He even thinks that he could win. As we cut back to the fight, Muta uses a 5-year charge Vision Viola, which creates 5 orbs of cursed energy and blasts them at Mahito. Mahito quickly escapes through the bridge, trying to avoid the blast as he thinks to himself that he needs to figure out which one of Mechamaru's attacks are effective against his soul. But then we see Mechamaru quickly blitz Mahito as he punches him back into the forest. Muta plugs in another technique charge as he thinks he has the upper hand and he'll win. As he gets ready to fire, he thinks of all the Kyoto students as he's going to meet up with everyone, but Mahito looks with despair as he opens his domain, self-embodiment of perfection. In his domain, Mahito says the fight is over as he uses ideal transfiguration, and he goes on a monologue about how he should have known once you're in his domain, even if he doesn't touch you directly, it doesn't matter and it's no use, and how he should have known that he was going to use his domain and not to put so much of his hopes and dreams into his strategy as he walks away thinking he has the upper hand. But we see Mechamaru slowly get up behind him and stabs him through the torso. Mahito wonders how he was able to get up, and it is revealed to us that Muta used tubes that seal the curse technique of Simple Domain, which shifts his fingers into spikes that inject the effect inside of Mahito. We also learned that this was a technique from the Heian era, which was used to protect oneself from domain expansion. We see Mahito explodes as his domain expansion deactivates, and we cut to Geto as he explains Simple Domain, and we know a domain neutralizes all curse techniques. Once trapped inside a domain, even the great gojo cannot be avoided being hit. So he says the word simple is misleading, and if a domain is activated inside another domain, then the caster of the first domain will be vulnerable Mahito. We see Mechamaru turn his attention to Geto as he says he has 1 tube left that contains Simple Domain, and he also has 9 years left of Cursed Energy. Just as he's about to fire a blast, Mahito punches through Mechamaru's head, which leaves Muta's whole body exposed. Muta quickly grabs the last tube. As him and Mahito are about to clash, we cut to a conversation between him and Miwa. Miwa comments about how she feels like there's always a distance between Mechamaru and her, but she understands that because it would be too much to bear if one of them died, but she still wants to get to know Mechamaru better, and she promised to come see his real body one day, as we see Muta and the Mechamaru puppet laying dead on the bridge. We see Mahito and Geto walking away as Mahito explains that he purposely timed that explosion and purposely deactivated his domain expansion so Mechamaru will let his guard down, which let Mahito get the upper hand against him in winning the battle as they both prepare for the next arc, the Shibuya incident. In my opinion, the reason why I think this fight is so underrated is because of how unexpected it was when I first read this chapter. I never thought I'd see Mahito and Muta clash together in the manga. Coming off of the Gojo Pass arc, I felt like it was a tease for what's to come in the Shibuya incident, and it really pieced together a storyline that I totally forgot about when I first read it. And there being a traitor among the sorcerers, and we all know Mechamaru being a semi-grade 1 and Mahito being a special grade, you would think automatically Mahito would just win, no diff. But the fact that Mechamaru was able to put up such a great fight against Mahito when he used especially his domain expansion, and that Mahito had to fake his death to get the upper hand on Mechamaru, it just shows how capable Mechamaru was as a character, and that we never fully got to see in the manga. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe and comment any fight you want me to explain next. I do content on JJK and Chainsaw Man, but without further ado, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. R.A.S out, bye.